Listen to me. Enemies, haters, mockers, backbiters, and all those who seek your downfall are never separated from life's battles. There is no man on earth without a caliber of people that seeks his death. It doesn't matter your age, influence, character, or goodwill. In fact, I have come to discover that good people always have the highest enemies. No wonder David asked in Psalms chapter 2 verse 1, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" He went further to describe the acts of the wicked in verse 2, which says, "The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers of the earth take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed." Notice that the counsel was not taken against mere man, but the anointed of God. Those who have a part to play in God's kingdom, those who have great destinies to fulfill. Dear friend, walking through life with a mindset that there are no haters is an invitation to premature death. The world is filled with false ideas from the pit of hell. Some people have been deceived as regards the presence of enemies in the life of a man. No wonder the devil has wasted a lot of souls without stress. They died from what they were able to avoid if only they had knowledge of some things. Beloved, life is a battle between light and darkness, a battle between losers and winners, a battle between the devil and God's people. Yes, those who seek the downfall of another are losers. They choose to drag people to hell with them, and the devil have signed to help them fulfill such a task. The life of David speaks volumes about the battles of every man. His testimony is also noteworthy as there are lessons to deduce from them. First, David was a shepherd of flocks. At this time, his only enemies were wild beasts that sought to take the life of his flocks. But when the Lord gave him a bigger assignment in the palace, not just mere men, but kings, rulers in high places, David encountered several battles that groomed him as a man of war. Reading through some Psalms in the Bible, you will notice that David became fearless and more violent as regards the wishes for his enemies. They compassed him about like bees. They sought to take his life for no just cause. Yet he still believed God. He fought a lot of battles, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, and it was recorded that his successor, King Solomon, had no battles to fight. The word of the Lord in the book of Psalms chapter 23 and verse 5 says, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, and my cup overflows." Is a pointer that there are strategies at the discretion of God. Remember that God's ways are not like man. His thoughts are far from ours, just as the heaven is far from the earth. So is his knowledge distant from ours. It marvels me how God works. At a point, he chose to destroy the enemies of David and Israel, and afterwards, he felt their shame should be doubled. Hence, he decided to honor his servant in front of his enemies. This is mind-blowing. Nobody should have chosen the latter. The thoughts of fear wouldn't allow any man to be celebrated before his uncountable enemies. But to God, that was a painful way of disgracing the enemy of his children. This is not a fiction. God is still in the business of turning captivity to freedom. He never ceased to amaze his children. Dear friend, God will bless you to the point that your longtime enemies will come begging at your feet for help. They will come crying to know the God you serve. They will be shocked that despite their well-orchestrated plans, your faith gets stronger. Your life becomes a city set on a hill that cannot be hidden, a light in the dark, and through your light, others find God. Before going on, please subscribe to this channel, like, comment, and share to your friends, and also turn on your notification button for more inspiring videos. Thank you. I would like to share a story with you. After graduating from college, I and my friend Gray got employed at a firm. We were both posted to different departments in that company. I was at the administrative block while Gray was good in record keeping and accounting, and so he was made the head of the accounting unit. We only had time to discuss during the breaks and most times while in the train back home. We were more zealous in our various departments, which was noticed by the chief executive officer of the company. We saw that as a good recommendation, this didn't occur once. Neither were we commended thrice, but at every meeting we were recognized as the company's most hardworking staffs. Unknown to us, those praises and appraisals laid a foundation for hatred and attacks against us by not less than 20 staffs in that company from various departments. I was never bothered. I felt it was one of those things. Gray, who was the head of his department, always recognized the effort of his team members. He also gave incentives to them from his monthly pay. That was enough kindness. I also offered to coach some colleagues in my department so as to bring them to the limelight. Some honored my invitation, others declined with a frown. I wasn't moved. I felt that was the pattern in every organization. At a point in time, the company applied to get a multi-billion-dollar contract from a governmental organization. It was a rough season for us. Everyone was hopeful. That was one opportunity no one wanted to miss. At this point, we stayed up at night thinking of ideas and innovations that would attract the mind of our client. God was so faithful. After 5 months of planning, waiting, and expecting, we got the contract. It was a huge one. It was to last for 5 months. At this point, we knew there was work to do. No laxity, everyone was expected to be on their toes till the job is done. At a point, the task became hectic. Some of my team members had to stay back after closing to tidy up some files. Also, at Gray's end, he also advised his team members to stay longer than expected to finish up any outstanding job. Being our first experience of staying back after work hours, we noticed a lot of abnormal behaviors from our colleagues. They changed their attitudes, and their actions showed us the contents of their hearts. By mere looking at them, one could sense hatred and wickedness brooding. What surprised I and Gray was that they were never this furious before the whole staff and management. It became clear to us that their smiles during working hours was fake. They looked at us like predators after a prey. One of those days when we stayed back, Gray was confronted at the reception by one of the heads of department. He was insulted and threatened to be retrenched if he was ever praised by the CEO of the company. That was the height of it. I was scared for my friend. Unknown to me, mine was sitting at the corner. As I tidied up my files and prepared to leave that same day, a colleague who I decided to coach accosted me, gave me a warning that shook me to my bones. He threatened to destroy my career if I don't join the colleague of unserious and corrupt staff. I never obliged to join. In fact, after his threat, I declined his invitation, and then hell was let loose. Dear friend, that was the beginning of a battle we never signed up for. I and Gray always received threatening mails. We received text messages that affected our productivity at work. One funny thing is this: our enemies always put on smiles whenever they see us during work hours, so no one could trace their evil hearts. In all these, God wasn't left out of the matter. In fact, we prayed like never before, because this was a matter of life and death. Just like the 3 Hebrew men who declined the invitation of the king to bow to a golden image, putting their life on the line. On the 5th month of the contract, Gray and I received a disturbing letter from the company. It was a query. The CEO called to see us in his office, and our ears couldn't handle what came out of his mouth. We were framed up by unknown staffs of the company. A lot of money was missing from the company's account in one night. I and Gray were held responsible. How that happened was a shock to us. It was all well planned. Our signatures were imprinted on a document stating that we withdrew some funds for office use. Not only that, it was reported that we had been into such acts since we got employed. The CEO saw reasons to believe because I and Gray were in key departments that can orchestrate such acts, but he was troubled in his spirit to send us away. At the long run, we were suspended until the board of trustees decided on our case. That was a big blow on our face. As we left the office, we saw their wicked smiles, heard them laughing at us as though we were longtime enemies. We never muttered a word out of shock. We stayed at home praying and seeking vengeance from God. It was also shocking that the CEO secretly called to ask of our well-being. He knew that there was something wrong but could not place his hands on it. But time was the revealer because God controlled it. After 3 weeks, I was contacted by Gray to check my mail. I did. He dropped a message which read that there was another case of fraud in the company. This time, it involved both staff and management, but the CEO of the company only communicated to Gray. No other staff was aware of this. We were still hopeful that the truth be told, and it manifested as we hoped. The last week of the 5th month of the company's contract, we were summoned at the CEO's office. There sat the board members, all staffs of the company. It was a disturbing one. We felt that they were about to kick us out finally. At the start of the meeting, names were called and they responded by standing up. 2 management staffs and 15 other staffs from different departments, including those that confronted us, were all asked. We were also asked to stand up. We were all given an envelope containing a letter, but no one knew its content. The CEO announced that whatever was written there takes effect immediately. I opened mine like others did. I was amazed at what I saw. I looked at Gray. I noticed tears rolling down his cheeks with a smile on his face. We were given a quantum leap. Not just reinstated, but as managers of the company. Others were retrenched. One of them couldn't hold his tears. He pleaded with the CEO, who turned deaf ears. We were told to take the seat of the managers at the amazement of everyone. It was a great win for us. God turned our captivity again as we resumed the next day. The company fulfilled their part of the contract successfully. That was the hand of God, beloved. You may be chased on all sides by the enemies seeking to destroy your peace. Sometimes you feel God abandoned you in the valley of the shadow of death with deadly enemies lurking around your soul. But I want you to know that, alas, the narrative will change in your favor. God saves the best for the last. God doesn't mind the evil mindset and thoughts of your enemies. He is not scared of their threats, neither is he bothered of their schemes. Whenever they plot to do evil, he sits in heaven and laughs at them. God gives your enemies a long rope to enjoy their wicked acts. They forget that there is a God in heaven who is a judge. God allows them get close until they feel like gods. They throw stones of death at you, but by the time God arises as the mighty warrior, he will break the bars of iron asunder. He will deliver you from their hand, make them serve you as slaves. Then those who seek your downfall will see you enjoy the goodness of God in the land of the living. Hallelujah.